Honorables membres du comité, je constate qu'il y a
Honourable
quorum.
members of the committee, I see a quorum.
3A. As clerk of the committee, I will preside over the election of the chair and the vice chairs. I must inform members that the clerk of the committee can only receive motions for the election of the chair. The clerk cannot receive other types of motions, cannot entertain points of order, nor participate in debate. Nous pouvons donc procéder à l'élection à la présidence.
We can now proceed to the election of the chair pursuant to Standing Order 1062. The chair must be a member of the government party.
Mr. Fonseca.
Thank you, Clerk. I'd like to nominate the Honourable Judy Scrow. Okay. And the Honourable Judy Scrow, as members know, was the chair of this committee in the last Parliament. She's been a champion for trade, free, fair trade, and we know the integrity that this member has. So I think she'd do an amazing job.
Thank you. The motion proposed by MP Fonseca that MP Scrow be elected as chair of the committee has been received as a notice of motion. Are there any further motions?
I haven't won yet.
Seeing none, I will now put the motion to the committee. It has been moved by MP Fonseca that MP Scrow be elected as chair of the committee. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt the motion?
Yes.
I declare the motion carried and MP Scrow duly elected as chair of the committee.
Thank you all very much. It's exciting to get back to work to some degree. And especially we have new members around the table that haven't been here, so we have a good committee. And I think if you talk to some of the other members that were on the committee before, Matt was with us here, and of course Simon Pierre Tremblay was with us as well. We had a very good working relationship, right? Not particularly adversarial. I would prefer that we figure a way to move forward together on important issues. And I think we have a great opportunity in trade to really make a significant move forward, which I think is why we all run to get elected, is to make sure Canada does well. And I think we can do well here working together. So thank you, Peter, and thank you all for your confidence and support. If you lose the confidence, let us know and you can have another chair. But I think we'll work pretty well together. So, okay, Mr. Clerk, we now have to go to routine motions.
Vice chairs.
Vice Chair. Okay, yes, all right. That's your job now.
Of course. Thank you very much. Pursuant to Standing Order 1062, the first vice chair must be a member of the official opposition. I am now prepared to receive motions for the first vice chair. Mr. Genereux?
Nominate Adam Chambers.
Thank you. It has been moved by MP Genereux that MP Chambers be elected as first vice chair of the committee. Are there any further motions? Seeing none, the motion proposed by MP Genereux that MP Chambers be elected as first vice chair of the committee has been received as a notice of motion. I will now put that motion before the committee. Is it the committee's pleasure to adopt it?
Yes. Absolutely.
Perfect.
That's a ringing endorsement.
I declare the motion carried and MP Chambers duly elected first vice chair of the committee. Et conformément à l'article 106.2,
Pursuant to Standing Order 1062, the second vice chair must be a member of an opposition party other than the official opposition. I'm now prepared to receive motions for the second vice chair.
oui, Monsieur Lavoie.
Oui, bonjour.
Mr. Lavoie, Steve Lavoie. I'd like to nominate Simon Pierre Tremblay.
Il est proposé par député Lavoie que
It's been moved by member Lavoie that member Savard Tremblay be elected as second vice chair of the committee. Are there any further motions? I see that the response is no. I will now put the motion to the committee.
Oui, parfait. Ça plaît au comité de la...
Perfect. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt the motion? I declare the motion adopted, and Mr. Savard-Tremblay is duly elected second vice chair of the committee.
Now would be the time.
Thank you very much. The committee needs to adopt the routine motions that everyone would have received from the clerk as how we actually run the meeting. Peter, will you please read out the routine motions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the routine motions, members, if you have them before you. So analyst services. That the committee retain as needed and at the direction of the chair the services of one or more analysts from the Library of Parliament to assist in its work. Subcommittee on Agenda Procedure, that Subcommittee on Agenda Procedure be established to be composed of 4 members, the chair, 1 member from each recognized party, as designated by each party's whip, and that the subcommittee work in spirit of collaboration. Meeting with a quorum, that the chair be authorized to hold meetings, to receive evidence, and to have the evidence published when a quorum is not present, provided that at least 4 members are present, including 2 members of the opposition parties, 2 members of the government party. Travel, that when traveling outside the parliamentary precinct, A, the meeting begin after 15 minutes, regardless of whether quorum is present. B, no substantive motion may be moved during such meetings. Time for opening remarks, questions of witnesses. That witnesses be given 5 minutes for their opening statement. That whenever possible, witnesses provide the committee with their opening statement 72 hours in advance. That at the discretion of the chair, during the questioning of witnesses, there be allocated 6 minutes for the first questioner of each party as follows. Round 1, Conservative Party, Liberal Party, and Bloc Québécois. For the second and subsequent rounds, the order and time for questioning be as follows. Conservative Party 5 minutes, Liberal Party 5 minutes, Bloc Québécois 2.5 minutes, Conservative Party 5 minutes, Liberal Party 5 minutes. Document distribution, that only the clerk and the committee be authorized to distribute documents to members of the committee and only when the documents are in both official languages. And that all documents submitted to the committee in both official languages that do not come from a federal department, members' offices, or that have not been translated by the Translation Bureau be sent by for linguistic review, for the Translation Bureau before being distributed to members, and that the witnesses be advised accordingly. Working meals, that the clerk of the committee at the discretion of the chair be authorized to make the necessary arrangements to provide working meals for the committee and its subcommittees. Travel, accommodation, and living expenses of witnesses. That if requested, reasonable travel, accommodation, living expenses be reimbursed to witnesses not exceeding 2 representatives per organization, that in exceptional circumstances, payment for more representatives be made at the discretion of the chair. Access to in-camera meetings, that unless otherwise ordered, each committee member will be allowed to be accompanied by 1 staff member at an in-camera meetings, and that 1 additional person from each House officer's office be allowed to be present. That during in-camera meetings, committee members may be informed by the committee chair of the MPs who have been designated as substitutes for permanent members in order to know which MPs are authorized to speak and vote during these committee meetings. That only those who have been recognized and identified as such be authorized to speak in keeping with the usual agreed rules of order and decorum. Transcripts in camera meetings, that 1 copy of the transcript of each in-camera meeting be securely retained by the committee clerk for consultation by members and committee or by their staff, and that the analysts assigned to the committee have access to in-camera transcripts. A notice of motion, that 48-hour notice interpreted as 2 nights be required for any substantive motion to be moved in the committee unless the substantive motion relates directly to business then under consideration, provided that A, the notice be filed with the clerk of the committee no later than 4 p.m. from Monday to Thursday and no later than 2:30 p.m. on Friday. B, the motion be distributed to members in the offices of the whips of each recognized party in both official languages by the clerk on the same day the said notice was transmitted if it was received no later than the deadline hour. And C, notices received after the deadline hour or on non-business days be deemed to have been received during the next business day. Orders of reference from the House respecting bills, that in relation to orders of reference from the House respecting bills, A, the clerk of the committee shall, upon the committee receiving such an order of reference, write to each member who is not a member of the caucus represented on the committee to invite those members to file with the clerk of the committee in both official languages and any amendments to the bill, which is the subject of the said order, which would suggest that the committee consider. B, suggested amendments filed pursuant to paragraph A at least 48 hours prior to the start of clause-by-clause consideration of the bill to which the amendments relate shall be deemed to be proposed during the said consideration, provided that the committee may, by motion, vary this deadline in respect of a given bill. And C, during the clause-by-clause consideration of a bill, the chair shall allow a member who filed suggested amendments pursuant to paragraph A an opportunity to make brief representation in support of them. Technical tests for witnesses, that the clerk inform each witness who is to appear before the committee that the House Administration Support Team must conduct technical tests to check the connectivity and the equipment used to ensure the best possible sound quality, and the chair advised the committee at the start of each meeting of any witness who did not perform the required technical tests. Whips access to digital binders, that the clerk of the committee be authorized to grant access to the committee's digital binder to the offices of the whips of each recognized party. Maintenance of order and decorum, that during meetings the chair, if necessary, uses, her prerogative to suspend the meeting to maintain the order and decorum necessary to ensure the application of the House of Commons policies on workplace health and safety. And that's that.
You've
Madam
talked
Chair.
enough for the whole day now. All right. Any questions or comments? I'm not seeing any. I need a motion to adopt the routine motions. A motion from Peter, seconded by Adam for these motions, and not seeing any other questions. Our meeting schedules will be Monday at 3:30 to 5:30 and Thursday 3:30 to 5:30 for this next session between now and Christmas. The next session they rotate. That's a terrible 3:30 on Thursday. So maybe we'll talk less in order to. But anyway, that's the schedule for the upcoming session between now and Christmas. That is there. Any other thoughts? Or I need to ask a really important question. Is there any allergies? Anybody got any food preferences? Anything in particular that you don't like? I'm looking at Matt because, he's been around a while.
We had that charcuterie thing last time.
You
That
like
was great. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of your members who mentioned it. So we have the charcuterie in the afternoon at the 3:30 to 5:30. And on Mondays, you have to come up with something interesting on Monday.
See what I can do.
Any preferences? Well, you never know what's in those cupboards. Sometimes there might be. Everybody's okay with fish and meat and potatoes and all that kind of stuff, right? Mr. Tremblay, we're good? All right, if you have any preferences, please let me know or let the clerk know. It's important for you to eat well. That makes the meetings go much easier as well.
The other thing you can do is invite.
We have our analysts, please come up and join us. These are the folks that write the reports and so on and so forth. You will introduce them, Grant?
If you'd like me to.
Yes.
Yes, just briefly, as I said to a few of you before the meeting began, my name is Grant McLaughlin, and I will be the clerk for the International Trade Committee. And the analysts who have just joined us are Bashar Al-Taib and Ofa Obale, and they have been with the committee for some time and are an excellent resource to have.
May I make a suggestion? Something that worked well at our last Finance Committee. Well, we'll bring the things that worked well from Finance Committee here and forget about all the others. We had name tags for the analysts. I don't know if that's something you do at this committee, but it was a good idea for us, and it allowed us to know each other a little bit better.
Good idea.
Thank
idea. Okay. Any other thoughts or directions before we close the meeting off?
Chair, I think we were having a conversation around maybe setting a motion or two passed so that we can get some work going, given that we've got some meetings coming in, so we have direction. So if it's okay with you, I would like to put forward a motion that we have given a copy to the clerk, both in English and French.
Would you read it out?
So, Chair, I'll move that the motion reads as follows. Canada is a trading nation. At a time of global uncertainty and protectionist trade practices, it is important for Canada to pursue diverse trading partners. And Canada has always championed rules-based trade agreements that create jobs, support industries, and build a strong Canada. That the Committee of International Trade conduct a study of no fewer than 3 meetings on the exploration of A, free trade agreements, B, what constitutes rules-based trade, and why it is important to uphold rules-based trade practices, and C, rules of origin and foreign investment promotion and protection agreements, FIPAs. That the committee hear from expert witnesses and report back its findings back to the House.
And is the intention there for us all to become much more aware of why trade deals are important?
The intention is twofold. One, for us to become more aware why a rules-based international trading system is extremely important. But I think it also sets the foundation for us in this time where we're seeing unfair trade practices, protectionist strategies being used as a weapon against Canada that is impacting Canadian jobs and Canadian businesses. I think this allows us to, at a foundation level, be on the same footing as to what we as a committee in this House hopefully have adopted, feels about the importance of a free and liberalized rules-based trading system.
Mr. Savard-Tremblay, and then Jacob.
Non, mon intervention n'est pas sur la proposition.
Well, what my comment doesn't have to do with the gentleman's comment. I'd just like you to note me down for a motion myself, please.
Okay. Jacob?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Is it your intention or belief that the review will, on rules-based trade and the importance of that, include a reflection on Canada's actions and whether they are in keeping with rules-based trade as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we need to, at a foundational level, understand from experts as to why Canada has pursued the strategy it has pursued over several decades around globalized trading system, where we obviously had a free trade agreement with the United States, and then NAFTA, and then CUSMA. Not to mention we're signatory to various regional and bilateral free trade agreements. There is obviously a reason behind it and how it's positively has impacted in the growth of our economy. There are things that work, the things that could be improved. I think this study will allow us to look at both those possibilities.
Any further questions? All right. All those in... Okay.
Ce serait je sais que notre collègue dit l'avoir envoyé.
I know that our colleague says that he's sent it, but I don't think we've received it. Could he please forward the text to us?
We're in the process of getting it ready. Otherwise, it should be delivered in both in French and English. Yes, Adam?
No, do you want us to suspend for a couple minutes, or do you want to go on to the?
Do you want to suspend for a minute and two? Yeah.
Well, or I can motivate the other ones.
Okay, so we're going to suspend for a few minutes so to ensure that everybody has received it and fully comprehends it. And Ms. Savard-Tremblay, have you got your motion? Have you circulated it as well?
I'm in the process of prepping
Elle a
that.
été envoyée
Okay, so we're going to
également,
suspend for a few minutes until we get these motions in front of us to deal with.
When you send that.
Back to order. Thank you all very much. Whenever anybody's introducing motions, please ensure that they are in English and French. And I prefer to have a paper copy of the motion. But if you guys have it in paper or you can have it in your iPads or whatever, just ensure that you read them before we vote on them. So I think we have the motion. We have a motion from Mr. Naviga. We also have a motion from Savard Tremblay. So I think we need to formally go into committee business in order to be able to deal with these motions. Now, Mr. Naviga, your motion on the trade issue. I think everybody's probably okay with that. With the motion that Mr. Naviga did as far as have a session on trade deals, what they are, why they're important for the committee when we come back. So all those in favor, that carries. Mr. Savard Tremblay, you've just introduced this motion now. Did you want to speak to this, or do we want to table it today and we deal with it in September when we come back?
Permettez-vous d'en faire la lecture en premier lieu?
Well, first of all, I'd like to read it out loud, if I may.
Alors, considérant que la mesure
So
transitoire
that given that committee members, staff, the selected United States and European Union trade-related measures, some impacts upon. Unfortunately, the interpreter does not appear to have the right motion. Could we obtain the motion before we proceed, please?
Do not have the correct copy of the motion. Just hold on a second. So your intention today, Mr. Tremblay, is to give notice of it today? And we will deal with this in September?
Juste. Ce qui a été envoyé, c'est la même que je vous lisais.
What was sent was the same, that one that I was reading. The interpreter does now indeed have a copy. Please proceed.
The
Okay.
copy that you are reading out.
OK.
Please continue.
Alors, considérant que donc j'étais à la deuxième.
So, whereas this situation resulted in delays at the border warehouses at full capacity, goods being returned to the shipper and financial burdens for Quebec and Canadian companies, considering that any commercial shipment over $3,300 not registered on GCRA portal and without a financial guarantee is refused, and that import sites have reached or exceeded their storage capacity, given that importers report difficulties with the GCRA portal, particularly in accessing it and posting guarantees, in addition to deploring that response times for assistance with the portal are several weeks, that the committee recommend that the Minister of Public Security and the Border Services Agency implement the following measures as requested by several stakeholders. A, develop a contingency plan for all commercial shipments held in a warehouse for more than 7 days, applicable to all goods. B, allow importers and customs brokers to submit payments for Type C entries online via GCRA to speed up the release of goods. C, establish an RPP waiver or exemption for companies importing low-value or low-volume shipments to reduce administrative burdens for SMEs and help facilitate the movement of goods across the border. D, ensure transparency so that brokers can check whether an importer has obtained a bond so that they can contact customers directly to ensure that everything is in place for efficient movement of the border. E, create an exemption or other financial guarantee mechanism, for example, by allowing companies to use a credit card to ease the financial pressure on small importers. So that was the text of the motion. Now, given the level of urgency, if my colleagues are prepared to adopt the motion, I'd encourage them to do so. Otherwise, of course, I'll table a notice of motion. But this GRCAE is such a dysfunctional mechanism since its inception. In fact, the US trade representative even listed it as an obstacle to trade. That attests to just how bad it is. And the request for this transitional program was communicated to us by many stakeholders and organisations, which suggests that given the tariff threats and all the ups and downs in the trade sphere, that we don't need additional challenges with the computer registration of these kinds of goods being required.
Yes, Adam?
For my part, at least, I think we would be prepared, or I would be prepared to support the motion as it was presented.
Builds on some work that the committee had been doing previously and identifying areas that were problematic. Any further discussion on it? No?
We concur as well.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. All right? Okay. Thank you all very much. See, that's the way we need to work together, right? That doesn't always work all the time, but as much as possible. Are there any other, we've had off record, we were having a bit of discussions. The Trade Committee was not able to travel for various reasons the last 2 or 3 years. And there have been some talk about us planning in the fall to possibly do some travel. And I think there's some motions that will probably be shared around as to where, if we were going to do travel, it has to be, for all of us, important to the country and helping to move along the work that we're doing. So I think if there's any ideas of those things, we should start to discuss them, not necessarily today, but have that in our minds as we're moving into the fall and see what kind of a direction, if we can get support for that in the fall. So, anybody having any ideas they want to talk about while we're here, or we can talk about it informally after the close of the meeting? Adam?
So Madam Chair, I would agree that any travel would have to be important to the country to advance our shared objectives. I think some further discussions could probably identify some opportunities that we felt would be okay in that front. But I did want to draw your attention just to the one additional motion that we had for recognizing the great work of this committee in last Parliament that had completed 2 reports, one respecting supply chains, the other on fisheries that were done and completed but not reported back to the House. I had sent some motions to the chair to the effect to resurrect, if that's the correct word, resurrect those motions so that work could get the proper recognition in this Parliament and be sent to the government and reported to the House. So I think those have all been distributed to the members. But if I could motivate that motion at this point.
We're clear on the 2 studies that Mr. Chambers is referencing?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Or, sorry, I am.
Okay. Yeah, make sure the clerk is. Any issues with that? Any concerns? Okay, everybody's in agreement with that? Okay, that's fine. All right, that's it?
Consensus.
Yeah, listen. Move adjournment.